Ready to start this shit, man?
Hell yeah.
Hello and welcome back to the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast. I am Matt Anderson. On the other side of your screen, you have Dorian Rose. Before we jump into it, happy Father's Day to everyone out there. All of you fathers, Dorian especially. I know he's a father. How are you doing today, man? Happy Father's Day.
Doing good, man, and enjoying Father's Day. Actually, just kind of kicking back. Got a new Oculus last night, so been having fun with that a little bit. But good card last night, and I know we're here to talk some fights. So good card last night. Good card to look forward to this coming up weekend, and a little bit of Anderson Silva talk. So excited to do the pod.
All right. Interested to see what you have to say about Andy Silva, because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch it. I saw the little clip, but not much outside of that. But I guess before we get started, please put a thumbs up on this if you enjoy it. Put your comments down below. Tell us what you think, if you agree or disagree with our thoughts and opinions, whatever you say. But let's get into it, man. Last night's card, Dan Ige versus the Korean Zombie. Let's just kind of start right there. I guess I'll just kind of say what I had to say. What I've realized, once Korean Zombie stops shaking his hand and starts wiping his palms, dudes are in trouble. I've noticed that in most Korean Zombie fights. Once TKZ starts wiping his palms off, dude, he's in a flow, and you better watch out because my man is coming for business. Aside from that, you just saw that just Dan Ige isn't at that level yet. TKZ just a step right above him. He really couldn't do anything to TKZ, and it was just kind of a outclassed like performance for TKZ over Dan Ige for the night. And before I say anything else, and before I end it up, Dominic Cruz could not say Dan Ige for the life of him. He's like, Ige, Ogie, the other fighter. He just stopped after a while, dude.
It's an Ige, dude. That's not hard at all. It's instead of eBay, replace the B with a G, and it's Ige. Ige. Like, it's that simple.
It was hilarious. And it was almost like, is he doing this like because he's acting like he doesn't know who these guys are? But I really feel like he was just having a hard time, and he could not say Ige like to save his life. Like a gun to
he did the same thing with He did the same thing with Sergey Spivak. He kept saying Spivak. And I'm like, dude, like are you not listening to how John Anik is pronouncing their name? Like, John Anik is pronouncing their name right. So listen to how he's saying it.
Hilarious, man. So that was kind of like my thoughts like on that fight as a whole. Just TKZ just showed that he just outclassed Dan Ige, that he isn't at his level yet. What do you got to say about this one, man?
I think, Zombie, I think what he really did was just kind of solidify his fight within the top 5 of the featherweights, because I think that he was really able to implement his full game last night. And he wasn't, he's called the Zombie because he walks forward, takes vicious shots. He's prone to get into wars with a bunch of guys, and he delivers mayhem, and he doesn't really get knocked out besides the crazy Yair Rodriguez elbow. He's normally known for getting in the brawls and coming out on the other end of them. But I think last night he displayed a smart game plan, because Dan Ige is one of those guys who can brawl. He throws heavy hands, and he has a hell of a chin as well, and he's not scared to get hit. He's not scared to take one to give one or two himself. One of the things that I thought Dan Ige was kind of doing good in the fight was throwing some shots to the body when he was jumping in. It was kind of hard for him to close the range of Zombie, but Zombie was able to kind of keep the range, keep his right hand going. And you're right, when Zombie kind of has that right hand up and he has it cocked and he's like kind of like twisting it, like, man, he has that hand loaded and he's coming to take your head off with it. And I thought he did a really good job implementing his wrestling in as well. You know, I know Dan Ige has really good jiu-jitsu, and Zombie did pretty good as far as controlling him on the ground, getting in pretty good dominant positions, and it was like there in the third and fourth round he was able to get some control. I thought Dan Ige had a really good comeback there in the fifth round. I thought he was able to, represent himself good. He landed some pretty big shots on Zombie there in the fifth round. But other than that, I just thought it was a complete performance from Zombie and just really solidified why he's one of the top guys in the featherweight division.
It just kind of goes to show, just like, man, it's like if Zombie is on, dude. He's a fantastic fighter, and he belongs in the top of the division, like as he's shown, dude. So
He's so
anything else?
sharp. He's so,
Yeah,
he's just so sharp, man. When his hands are going, you could just see like just the impact that he has on guys when he lands big right hands. He just has that thing loaded, and he's so fast with it. And he does this thing with his head as well. When he's kind of getting in range, he kind of takes his head and nods it to the side while he's kind of like gauging his distance, and he closes in and goes for the kill. But I thought last night he displayed a lot of patience.
yeah. Like when he's flowing, he is flowing. He is a fantastic fighter. So I mean,
Hmm.
anything else here? Or co-main event time.
We could just move on down the card. But just overall, I just thought, Zombie did really good as far as solidifying himself.
Agreed, agreed. So Alexei the Boa Constrictor Olenek going after his 60th win up against Sergey Spivak. Man, I really wanted Alexei just to get it, like the whole time. And you saw the entire first round. He is just trying to wrap his arms around Sergey Spivak's head, just chasing him around. But one thing that I was really surprised of is Alexei Olenek's boxing was a lot better than what I like remember it. Like he was like his head movement like was good, and his like counters were honestly pretty good as well. But he needed to get Sergey Spivak on the ground. He did a couple times, but in the end, Sergey, just an overall bigger guy, ends up getting the decision there. What do you got to say here, man?
So I'm not gonna lie if I said that, I really enjoyed this fight, because I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie, kind of didn't really,
yeah,
have too much love for it. I thought Olenek did look a little good as far as his hands. His hands were a little bit sharper. He kept trying to jump in and jump for that clinch there in the first round, and Spivak was doing a good job of keeping him away. There at the end of the first round, he actually ended up getting Spivak's back and was actually able to take some back control, got him down on the ground, and was able to, kind of keep position. But Spivak did a good job as far as staying out of any type of real danger. And then I thought in the second round, Olenek tried a little bit too hard, tried to get it to the ground, got himself in some trouble. Spivak was able to land a little bit of ground and pound, and just kind of thought it was just more of the same. I, I don't want to say the same Olenek performance, because his last couple of fights he had actually been getting knocked out a little bit. So displayed a good chin. He was able to take some shots, get in the range. But I just thought overall, his age just kind of showed in the fight. Spivak was able to stay on the outside, kind of just pick him apart and just ride out to the decision win.
pretty much a good assessment of what happened there. So moving down, one that we were kind of focused on, we were both excited for this one. Marlon Vera versus Dangerous Davy Grant, man. At first, what happened should have happened. I was like, okay, Vera trains with animals with uh RVCA, Rivka, Des Dorian's glove falls. Jason Perillo. Okay. Yeah, he trains like over there at that gym. You got like Mike Bisping, Luke Rockhold. I know Sean Strickland makes his trips in there. There's been a fucking video just going around of him like getting mad at this like dude spinning back fist in the giant dude because he tried to break his arm or whatever. But yeah, anyway, Marlon Vera trains there. This fight has happened once before, and it went Davy Grant's way, but it was a very young Marlon Vera. And then now you see just the growth in both. Davy Grant is a little bit older. Marlon Vera is a young, hungry contender, wants to be the champion so bad. But man, Davy Grant, I don't know what else to say. Just the toughness on dangerous Davy Grant, dude. He showed that he is in there 100% of the time. There is not a way that you're going to get this man to quit. The beating that this man took, and then at the same time, dude, me and you both mention this all the time. His body, chin, like his like left to the body or like right to the body, like left hook, dude. Man, that is the cleanest, one of my favorite combos in the UFC, and he's so good at it, and he landed it over and over. So shout out Marlon Vera, because my man is also super tough as well. But dangerous Davy Grant, super tough. I wish he would have got it done, but Marlon Vera, in the end, as your glove falls again, just leave it down, man. Just leave it down. Eh, Marlon Vera gets it done in
Really?
the end. But go ahead here, man. What do you got to say about this fight here?
As my entire set is starting to fall apart here as we see. But yeah, you know that as you said, we were both really excited going into this fight because we knew that it was going to be a banger. As you said, rematched a few years ago. It was a young Marlon Vera. Marlon Vera, you can just see the difference between him then and now because he was a lot thinner. He's a lot more filled out for this division, so you could tell he's really starting to mature in that way. Davey Grant had been coming off a couple of really good knockouts, but he's more known as a grappler. But his boxing has just been really sharp. I as you said, I love the combo, the right to the body, the left to the to head, and he throws just with the looping punches that he throws, but he throws them so fast. I thought in that first round he really came out hot and was landing pretty good on Marlon, but Marlon was really able to stay, very composed. He was able to stay sharp. Didn't get too overwhelmed in the moment when Davy Grant was starting to kind of put it on him there in the first round. And it looked like there in the second round, Marlon kind of got his timing. Davy Grant started slowing down a little bit because I felt like he'd thrown so much heat in the first round. The second round, you could see he was starting to wear down a little bit, and Marlon was starting to put it on him. Davy Grant got the takedown in a pretty good time and was able to kind of ride out some position against Marlon Vera. Almost snuck out the second round, but Marlon Vera was able to switch positions there. It was about like 30 seconds left and landed some brutal ground and pound on him and was able to really, bloody him up and everything going into the third round. And I just thought that third round, he just absolutely took control. And you could see Davy Grant was just exhausted, but just the toughness on him. Marlon was grabbing him in the clinch and was just smashing him with elbows, and Davy Grant just eats it, waves him on, and still throwing with absolute heat. But you could just tell the damage is starting to take toll on him as the fight wore on. And I thought Marlon was doing really good in the clinch, throwing good elbows and good knees. He's a really I like watching him fight because he just has like this killer mentality. Like he just got this meanness to him when he gets in the octagon. And I thought that fight definitely fight of the night, man. Those two dudes brought it absolutely, and the toughness on Davy Grant is just unreal. But great performance by Marlon Vera.
I'm actually super glad that you like fucking brought that up, because I like remember it standing out, but it just kind of just slipped my mind in like my immediate assessment, if you will. Those elbows, dude, were great, dude. He just grabbed his head and was like, "Nope, you're eating this elbow," like just four, five, six in a row.
Yeah, it was like boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom,
and
boom.
as you said,
Crazy.
the meanness on him, like he was trying to hurt Davy Grant the entire fight. And a lot of fighters are good fighters, but you can tell that they look at it more of a sport, as where Marlon Vera was like fighting him like he was trying to like take his paycheck, like for real. Like, so just the meanness on Vera, but not too much else. Just a dominant performance overall by Cheeto Vera here. So the next one here, Choi Sing Woo over Julian. Erosa, dude. I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't too like stoked for this one. I was like, okay, Erosa is a decent wrestler. This is gonna be interesting seeing how this goes. But it ended in the first round, dude. The Chu Sung Woo kept throwing that same combo over and over. Threw it probably like 4 or 5 times, and on that last one, finally hit him with it and not deaded him, knocked Rosa pretty much out cold, dude. Uh, Only a minute 37 seconds. Anything here, man?
Yeah, just really just super lightning hands from Sung Woo Choi. You know, when he was throwing them combos, Rosa he was eating them at first, but it was really early in the fight. But man, I know Cruz kept saying he just can't keep eating those shots, and Rosa, I think he just relied on his chin just a little bit too much going into the fight. And man, Choi's speed was unreal. His hand speed, it was just so fast the way he was able to get that combo off and kind of get in and out of range. And that last one, you know, he brought that left around and kind of slipped it through. It looked like Arosa was kind of going to throw a jab and try to step out of range, and Choi threw that left over the top and caught him kind of with like the side of his fist, but caught him perfectly on the chin. Put him down and hit him with some good ground and pound. And I was really surprised. I guess I can't be too surprised that Arosa was kind of fighting the decision, but yeah, he was absolutely out. And when he tried to get up and fight the decision, you know, he was out on his feet. So
Yeah.
it was a good clean decision, or a good clean stoppage by the ref, and just that left was absolutely clean, and excited to see what Sung Woo Choi could do. That was in the featherweight division as well, right? So yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see him kind of move up in the rankings, because Julian Erosa was kind of one of those young guys. Believe he was on the Contender Series as well. One of those guys kind of getting the rub off that show, and Sung Woo Choi kind of stole that shine. So excited to see what he can do.
Fair enough. So that was the last finish of the night. We're going to move down to the second to last finish. Wellington Turman, Bruno Silva, man. When this fight very first slightly started, I was like, oh, Wellington Turman's about to choke this dude out. Bruno Silva has lost every one of his fights by rear naked choke. So you know that's what Wellington Turman like was going for. And I was like, oh, he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. A reversal of positions happened, and all of a sudden, Bruno Silva is in Turman's guard and is just throwing these like I don't even know how to say it. He's almost like just using his like fist and just like winging it, like not even really throwing like a punch, if you will, just kind of like throwing his fists. I don't know how else to explain it, but ends up hitting dude multiple times on the chin, and he's just out cold there from the bottom, like out of pretty much nowhere. I didn't see that coming at all. What do you got to say here, man? This happened 4:45 in the first round, by the way. So another first round TKO.
Yeah, it ended up turning into a grappling match there, you know, for the whole first round. You know, it was a lot of scrambles. Turman was really trying to do his damnedest to try to get his back and try to get that rear naked choke. And, you know, there were a lot of transitions going through. But then, yeah, as you said, once he went to get the back, it looked like Silva kind of shook him off, was able to shake him down, and then able to get in that top position. And some of that ground and pound that he was landing was pretty brutal. And I was just surprised that Turman was able to just sit there and, you know, just try to eat the shots. You know, I just thought similar to Rosa relying on his chin, I thought Turman was just relying on his chin too much, and he was just taking some brutal ground and pound. And you know, Silva, he just kept throwing the bombs, and I thought that he was going to win the first round there because he was doing more effective damage with the
Mhm.
ground control than Turman was. But yeah, Silva had no decision to make that go to the judges, and absolutely put Turman out with the ground and pound, landing one right on the chin perfectly, and that was another hell of a knockout.
I guess maybe we just saw like just two different things because it honestly didn't even look like he was throwing like that hard. It was almost like he was just like winging his arms, like not even like really like driving in. It was just kind of like he was just like like just like whipping his arms. Like it's not like he was like, I'm gonna kill
Well,
this guy, like so it was
well,
like
well
that's what
it
got
didn't
him.
look like he was trying to drive through his face necessarily, but it did look like when he was trying to punch him on his chin, it looked like he was trying to go through the chin. And that's a lot of times where you see those big knockouts is
Hmm.
when you can kind of complete the punch all the way through. It looked like that's what he was trying to do when he would try to land on the chin, is try to have his hand basically go through the chin to try to secure the knockout. And it looked like that was what he was able to do.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, Bruno Silva, as you said, had other plans. So going down, one that really surprised me, man, Matt Brown fucking knocks Diego. I didn't want to say like the wrong name. Diego Lima out cold. I really thought this was gonna go the other way, man. Matt Brown is just getting to that age, dude, where it's like that turnover is happening, and you're like, man, Brown is older. But Matt Brown sleeps Diego Lima in the second round, and then said 40 years old, something about, I don't know. He's 40. What do you got to say here, man?
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of a vintage Matt Brown finish. Him just throwing them big right hands, and it just kind of brought back, what he was, at least if it was for a night, especially for the big Matt Brown fans out there, because he's been a long time UFC staple. But I thought Diego Lima was doing really good there in the first round, kind of keeping his range, not stepping into too much danger because he knows the type of power that Matt Brown is capable of.
Brown ate
And
so many leg kicks. Yeah, that's one
and
thing I remember.
it, yeah, he got his leg absolutely chopped down, and I thought that Lima was, doing the leg kicks, jabbing them, and was doing a good job staying out of range. But when Matt Brown was able to close the distance, he was also landing some good body shots there going towards the end of the first round, and I thought that was what actually set up the punch in the second round because he was taking that right and was digging it to the body, and it looked like Lima was ready for a looping punch, and he kind of curls up because it looks like he's anticipating a body shot, and when he does, that right hand from Matt Brown just goes right through the guard of Diego Lima and just lands perfectly on the chin and just put him out flat, and just a vintage Matt Brown uh, finish there. And man, a hell of a right hand, no follow up needed. I mean, he put Diego Lima to sleep with no NyQuil or anything like that, man. So definitely knockout of the night for sure.
Yeah, man, I just didn't see that one. Really thought, I was like, okay, who's older? I understand they both have pretty bad chins. Like at this point, both have just been knocked out multiple times. But it's like, man, I don't want to continue to see Matt Brown do this. I'd be okay if he was like, all right, man, see you guys later. I'm going out on that win. But Matt the Immortal Brown just seems to want to fight forever. So where do you think he goes
Well,
from here?
I think for Matt Brown, I think a big thing for him is that he doesn't really. I thought when he fought Miguel Baeza last year, he looked actually really good in that fight and actually had Miguel Baeza hurt. But Baeza was able to just land a good shot, was able to get him out of there. But I thought that, overall, Matt Brown hasn't looked like Cowboy in a sense. Like Cowboy has just been super chinny and has just been getting completely wiped out. Um, so I thought for Matt Brown, I think the right matchups need to be made with him if you're going to keep him around. I don't think he needs to be really matched up with the younger fighters. I think that, to get the best out of him, matching him up with, kind of the older guard, or maybe, someone that's a little bit lower ranked than maybe the top 15, 20-ish rank, but I don't think he needs to fight any of the top 10, top 5 guys or anything like that. But I think you could match him up with I mean, maybe you put him in a Robbie Lawler rematch. Maybe you do, because I know that he called out Nate Diaz after the fight. I mean, Nate Diaz probably isn't going to take that fight, but just the old guard in that sense. I think if you match Matt Brown up with those types of matchups, you're going to get really good performances. And for fight nights like this, you're going to get people really anticipating watching it. So I just think for him, I think you can just match him up with any of the older guard, any of the older guys. Just put him up against one of those, and Matt Brown's definitely capable of delivering a great performance, just like he did last night. So, really, he brings the fireworks. So I'd like to see him just matched up against any of the older fighters. Stay away from the younger guys.
If he sticks around long enough, Michel Pereira, the UFC loves giving him these old dudes, man. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Matt Brown versus Michel Pereira. It's like, oh man, I don't know if I can handle that. So, I guess on to the prelims now. What I thought was probably fight of the night: Alexa Kammer versus Nikolai something. I'm not even gonna try, man. Alexa Kammer,
Nego
just
Mediano.
yeah, dude's hands are just clean, and you can see he has a heavy boxing base. Trains with Stipe up there in Cleveland or whatever. But it's like I felt like after the first round he was tired, dude. It's like he was throwing everything he had in the first round, and when he couldn't get dude out of there, it's like the next two rounds were just like, damn, dude, is this what we're gonna have to look forward to? And on the other hand, Nega Maniatu, is that how you say it? Did I say that right? All right. So the chin on that dude, man, he has probably the worst defense I've seen in the 205 division. He just uses his face as defense, dude. He eats punches nonstop, but continues to walk forward, man. So that's pretty much what I gotta say here. Alexa Kammer got it. Oh no, Alexa Kammer lost that. That's surprising. I really didn't think that would, like even just looking back
You didn't know
now.
that he won? Wow.
I personally thought that he won, but it was a close fight. I'm not too mad at it. I
Man.
didn't really have any like too big of bets on it or nothing like that. So, what do you got to say here, man? I guess Meganu won.
Yeah, it did go down to a split decision, but I mean I thought kind of the same thing, that I thought Kamer came out hot in the first round, was throwing heat in the first round there, but I just thought that you could see that he was starting to gas once Nikolai wasn't going anywhere after those big shots. You could see it was kind of taking a lot out of him, landing those big shots and not getting them out of there. So when in that second round, I thought that's when Nikolai really was starting to take over, and he was starting to land some big shots himself. I thought he hurt him there in the second round, and then I thought in the third round he was able to really secure the control. Was able to ride out the position on the cage. The only thing that I thought was a little funny was who was the official? Was it for
Sounds
the
like the
that
referee,
Nikolai? Yes.
Mike
Oh my,
Beltran.
Mike Beltran, yes. So when he's officiating the fight in the third round, he is screaming at the top of his lungs, telling Nikolai to get his fingers out of the cage when Nikolai is holding Kamer against the fence in the clinch. And he is screaming at him, slapping him, and to the point to where he is like, dude, stop grabbing the fence. And then there with 30 seconds left, he separates them after he finally has enough of it. But when he separates him, he says, dude, don't do it again. Do you understand me? Fight. Why would you like how did you not take a point at that point? I thought with that, I thought that Kamer could have won. But I thought other than that, I thought Nikolai controlled the round. But I just thought that I thought the ref dropped the ball there with Mike Beltran. I just thought he dropped the ball with, why are you going to sit there, yell at him, slap him, call him dude, tell him to stop grabbing the fence, and then when you separate him, you're like, hey, stop doing that, buddy. Like, take the freaking point already. You warned him 100 times.
I don't know, man. I guess he like lost the position, but even still, he definitely should have took the point. So one of the ones that I was rather excited for on the fight, we kind of mentioned it last week. Virna Jandiroba versus Kanako Murata, dude. This was one that I'm glad Jandiroba won, but man, if it would have just went 1 second into the next round, I would have hit a crazy parlay. But Jandiroba gets it done at the end of the second round, and I'm just looking at what they called it, a TKO KO, even though Jandiroba pretty much broke the chick's arm. Second week in a row, like we saw like some kind of crazy like arm thing happen, or I don't know in a row, but second week recently, like when we saw some kind of arm thing happen. Third time in my recent recent memory, because just happened to Jacare too, dude. The arms breaking with these arm bars, dude, are getting ridiculous, man. It's like, geez, you guys got to tap, man. Like, are you
The
guys not going to
injuries,
tap?
the injuries in the UFC in general, like I know it's a gruesome sport, but it's been crazy this year with the amount of injuries or just gruesome ones that we've seen.
Yeah, so it's like, man, you guys have to tap. Like, if you want to fight again in the next 6 months to a year, you gotta tap, because once you get your arm broken, once you get your leg snapped, once you get your ankle broken, your like Achilles like ripped, you're gonna wish you tapped. Like, it's like I haven't heard anything like from Tony Ferguson. I just want to know, like, is there an update on him? Is he hurt? But I haven't heard anything from him. But something happened to him. Like, he was in that leg lock for a while against like fucking Dariush. So it's like, man, you got to tap. If you want to fight again soon, you have to tap. What'd you think happened here, man?
Yeah, I just thought it was a good performance by Jane Genova. She really has been coming along, developing her game. She had some pretty good striking that she was able to display. I thought it was kind of crazy that she was able to pull guard there, toward the end of the first round, but that was kind of where she was able to establish her dominant grappling and was able to put on the arm bar. And then there in the second round, that's when I heard John Anik mention he said the producer got in his ear and said, "Hey, Murata, her elbow, it doesn't look good." So he ends up looking, or I guess he made that point, and as soon as I look, you can see her elbow. You can see Murata's elbow just completely. Oh gosh, it just looked disgusting. And she wasn't even using the arm, but just the absolute toughness on her, just to able to stand in there and still. With that broken arm, still standing there in the line of danger and able to fight like that and was kind of fighting the ref or kind of fighting the doctor after the doctor went to stop it. And so the mentality on these fighters, it is gruesome to watch, but that's kind of the mentality that that makes them the fighters that they are, is being able to, even with the broken limbs and things like that, they fight through the pain. And not that I'm condoning it in any sense, but that's the kind of mentality that we kind of expect these fighters to have. So I don't think we should be surprised with, something like that happening with a broken arm and she's still willing to fight, because that's just who, the mentality that some of these people have to have in order to be successful or just to get to the point to where they are now. But yeah, Jane Genova, I just thought she kind of, just displayed an overall dominant performance and a good win by her.
Like, one of the things that I just kind of notice like about her is just how much bigger she is, like, in the division. Like the
Hmm.
other chick looks like she probably could fight 115. Like she was rather small, you know? And it's like, man, or I'm sorry, that this was at
Atom
115.
weight.
Yeah, this was at
Yeah,
115.
atom
She
weight.
looks like she could probably fight like probably like fucking 105, but Jane Judoba just massive for the division. So we're gonna move down. Google has it Kalen Williams, but Chaos Williams versus Matthew Semmelsberger. Man, this was probably,
That's actually his name.
yeah, yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
Chaos Williams. Everyone knows him as Chaos Williams. But
Yeah.
probably the other contender for fight of the night, man. These two guys both were just trying to take each other's heads off. One thing I just kind of noticed is I remember Chaos Williams striking being a little bit more clean, but it almost looks like he was just throwing caution to the wind, just throwing everything he had with every single punch he had. Matthew Semmelsberger was more of trying to counter with his overhand right, his like fucking straight right. The dude has power in his right hand, but he just seemed kind of hesitant for the night, probably because he felt the power of Chaos Williams. So anyway, Chaos Williams gets it done here. Third round, unanimous decision. What do you got to say here, man?
Yeah, I thought similar as contender for fight of the night. Chaos Williams. I'm always excited to watch the Chaos Williams fight, and he kind of delivered again on this one. I love Simmelsberger, just the chin that he was able to display, and I thought that he was able to really stand his ground in there and was able to throw some heavy right hands on Chaos Williams. Chaos Williams was mixing it up really well with the leg kicks and everything. But man, it was like there after a while, Simmelsberger got his timing down with the leg kicks and was able to time up that right hand. And honestly, a few of those right hands that landed, I thought Chaos Williams was either going to get knocked out or he was going to get really hurt off of throwing that leg kick because Simmelsberger was throwing and landing heavy. But Chaos Williams just throwing caution to the wind, as you said, just throwing the looping punches. But I just thought that he was a little bit more active overall. When he would step in, he's throwing combos of 4 or 5 punches at a time, as Simmelsberger is throwing 1 to 2. Not that Simmelsberger didn't, display a good chin himself, as well as a good right hand that he was able to sting Chaos with a couple times. But I just thought overall, Chaos was just a little bit more active. He was able to, in the third round there, I thought Simmelsberger started kind of slowing down there because he had a pretty good second round. And I thought Chaos Williams was kind of able to kind of put his stamp on it there and just put on a little bit more of a pace and was able to ride out the decision win. But a hell of a fight by both of them.
I guess probably like the reason that I'm like, why is Chaos like throwing all his punches like that? Well, he's only fought twice in the UFC, and both of his fights were like 5-10 seconds long. So we probably don't really know what he truly looks like as a striker until last night, pretty much. So
Well, and
yeah,
he hasn't had too many fights either. I mean, what he's 14 fights into his career. I mean, he's actually so he had the 2 fights where he had the 2 quick knockouts. He had the Michelle Pajeda loss, and then this one. So this is his 4th UFC fight, but he's still early on in his career. So I mean, that's why I said I think that he's probably still a little bit raw, but you can see the talent, and I just think that he just has nothing but room to grow from here. And starting to get big level experience, I just think it's going to just tack on for him, learning and going forward as he kind of tries to hunt for becoming a ranked fighter in the welterweight division.
he has the perfect nickname too. I love it. The Ox Fighter. You're like, oh, I would trust him to fight an ox. I would.
Yeah, and another thing, sort of similar to what we were saying about Marlon being mean, Chaos Williams just has this just freaking scary like stare down, man. Like when he throws something, like it just looks like it's with bad intention. So sometimes I can even think that could sway a judge to a certain extent because it's like when the guy just walks in there just looking, or when a guy or girl goes in there just looking as mean as they do, and just being able to just land damage like that, I think that kind of can sway a judge's opinion as well. But he also has just this mean streak to him when he's just in the stare downs, and he's a super fun fighter to watch, and I'm excited to kind of watch him grow in the division and kind of see where he goes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I'm sorry. So the first three fights of the night were Casey O'Neill versus Laura Procopio. Casey O'Neill gets it done via sub. Joaquim Silva versus Ricky Glenn. Ricky Glenn knocks out Silva in 37 seconds. Not really much to say. And then the first heavyweight fight on the card was Josh Parisian versus Rocky Martinez. It was kind of controversial, man. I saw a lot of people thought Rocky Martinez done enough to beat Josh Parisian, but in the end, Josh Parisian gets it done via decision. Anything on either one of those three, man?
Yeah, really just I thought Casey O'Neill, for her coming up in the flyweight division, undefeated. She's had a couple finishes now, so she's actually, starting to make a name for herself. The only thing with the flyweight division is if if she starts reeling off a couple wins, they're going to say, hey, maybe she deserves a title shot. I don't want to see her rush into a title shot. You can see that she's still raw. She's
I
still
don't want to
learning.
see
Uh,
anyone fight Valentine.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the Andrade matchup kind of made sense because Andrade is a UFC veteran, So I thought that, and she fought at 135 before as well
Had
as
KOs at
Shevchenko.
135.
Yeah, so I thought that matchup kind of made sense, but I don't need to see Macy Barber, Casey O'Neill. Like, I don't need to see fighters that are clearly still green and trying to learn, basically learning on the job. I don't need to see those types of fighters fight Valentino, but for Casey O'Neill, just kind of starting to put it together in the feather or flyweight division. So yeah, kind of excited to see what she could do as well.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So that is the fights from last night. Haven't said farts yet, so
We're
just
waiting
pretty
on it.
much glad I haven't done that yet. So
Yeah, oh, we're waiting on it.
yeah, man. So
The over under. We need to do like a DraftKings or
that's
FanDuel thing, like the over under on the amount of number of farts that you're going to say.
yeah.
Or call it. No, the one that we need to do is calling a fight a card. That's the over under
Well,
that we. That's
that's
the over under that we need to
that's
do.
the issue. Is I either call the fight the card or I mix them together and call it a fart. Just all together. So what am I gonna say wrong on the fights? So anyway, that's the fights from last night, man. I guess we can get into some news, some topics. I just kind of sat back for a second. One thing that I did see pop was Violent Bob Ross, man. That's something that really took me like off guard when you see that he's arrested for purse snatching or something like that. It's like, man, I really didn't see this coming because Violent Bob Ross was on Tough, and you heard his like story about he was an orphan and he got like adopted and was like super grateful for everything that he had, and he was just overall just a good person. And then this kind of came out like out of nowhere, man. I'm like, what? I wouldn't like expect that at all. um i I guess, what's your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, I just thought that really sad to see the turn for Luis Pena. Um, the only reason why I can say that I'm not surprised about it now, and I guess hearing about it after the fact, I don't want to say I'm not surprised, but I guess I could see it kind of building up. He's been on Twitter here recently. I'd seen a video clip of where they were posting some of his old tweets just from like a couple of days ago, and him talking about the mental exhaustion that he's been going through and the mental depression that he's been going through. So I don't know exactly what's going on in the dude's life right now. I don't know if he was. I think it was like by theft by snatching was one of the charges that he got. So I don't want to say that he snatched a purse or anything like that. That just doesn't. I don't want to speculate on anything like that. But just really sad to see him in that position because, as you said, his backstory if you watch Tough, you know that he was an orphan, never really known his parents. I think he never really met his dad until he had started fighting. So, for him to kind of make this turn, just sad for him, man, and definitely praying for him that he can make it through it. So, Luis Pena, always a guy that we're rooting for, and hopefully the charges that came out aren't true, and hopefully he can move forward from this and become a better person from it.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully it's just some kind of huge mistake, but if it's true, man, definitely sad to see. And man, like, dang it, man, pay the fighters. If you pay the fighters, this won't be happening, man. Just I just don't I don't even know what else to say. It's just sad, man. So you wanted to talk about Anderson Silva. I can't really speak too much on it. As I said, I only saw like the little like clip of it of him, like classic Anderson Silva. But I guess let me know what happened here, man, because I didn't watch it.
Okay, so I guess I can preference my comments at first by saying, I really don't. I watch. I guess you can say I'm a casual fan of boxing, but I've always known of Julio Cesar Chavez, and I've always known of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., but I never really knew kind of like the backstory of Jr. So I guess apparently he is like a disgrace to boxing from boxing experts that I listen to on occasion, and I guess he's not really highly held up in the boxing community as his father is. His Junior has kind of embarrassed the sport a little bit more in a sense, but this was another one of those crossover matches with MMA going into boxing. But MMA was able to get the win in this sense because Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was actually a champion, and I believe they said he was a champion at about like 165, 170, somewhere around that weight class. But for Anderson Silva to be 44, he's 44 now, stepping into a professional boxing bout. This counted as a professional bout. This wasn't an exhibition. This wasn't Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. It wasn't any of those matchups like that. Like, this was a legit boxing match that counted on their professional records. And for Anderson Silva to be the age that he is, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is still 36 years old. So I don't want to say that he's in his prime, but he's definitely more able-bodied as far as boxing. And his father being a legendary champion boxer, you would thought that he would be well equipped to win the fight, but I thought Anderson, man, he just really displayed a good performance, and similar to having a vintage performance by Matt Brown. Anderson Silva kind of did the vintage him, man. Standing up against the ropes, kind of doing the rope a dope, similar to what he would do with Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner and guys like that. And I thought that, man, one of the things he was able really to do, because I was able to watch most of the fight last night. I went back and watched it this morning because I'm a huge Anderson Silva fan and I love Anderson. And man, when he was able to get Chavez up against the ropes and was throwing some mean combos on Chavez, and I thought that maybe some of his footwork that he used in kickboxing and MMA was able to he was able to get in and out of range, and that was something that you could tell Chavez Jr. hadn't seen much before in boxing was his footwork that he was able to use to get in and out of range. He was able to get in there and land some big shots, and I just thought he just outworked Chavez Jr. I thought the first two rounds Chavez Jr. banked, and then I thought after that Anderson Silva rode away easily with the win. I thought that he really frustrated Chavez Jr. when he did the rope-a-dope scene where he's waving them on. Chavez Jr. is going in for the punches and he's not landing. And I thought that Anderson Silva just really displayed a really good performance and, really, really brought it home for the MMA community to be able to go in there and beat a decorated boxer like that. And man, they're starting to have a little bit of rumors now that he might actually fight Roy Jones. And I don't know about you, but after seeing that boxing match from Anderson Silva last night and him looking good, might be kind of excited to see that, man. I'm not going to lie. So,
was going to happen
really
like
happy
a
to
long
see.
time ago, right?
Anderson Silva had always asked for it, but the UFC was never really going to let him out of his contract and do that because that was Roy Jones in his prime. And I do think Roy Jones in his prime as a boxer, it wouldn't have looked good for Anderson Silva. But I think now, Roy Jones being a little bit older, Anderson as well, and Roy Jones hadn't been as active. Hey, it might make for a pretty competitive match, especially seeing with the way Anderson looked last night. So I would really like to see that.
Gotcha. Was Anderson expected to beat like the dude that he beat, or or is it
No,
kind of
no,
like
he was expected to lose. They were expecting it to be a good fight, but they were expecting Anderson to lose because Chavez Jr. is, he was a champion in boxing at one point, and his dad is one of the most decorated boxers of all time. So, going into the fight, that Chavez Jr. being almost 10 years younger than Anderson, yeah, he was expected to win the fight, and that's why, it was a really good representation. It felt like for MMA, from Anderson Silva, he was able to go into the boxing ring and was actually able to come out with a win in a legit professional bout, not an exhibition, sort of similar to Roy Jones and Mike Tyson or Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather. It was, a professional boxing bout, and Anderson Silva really represented himself really well. And vintage Anderson, man, I love Anderson Silva. I'm a huge fan of the Spider. I still call him the GOAT, even though you say John Jones or GSP is. I still call Anderson the GOAT because he's just my favorite fighter, and loved seeing him going in there and getting the win.
Fair enough, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. As I said, I didn't see too much of it, but I'm gonna wish Anderson Silva all the luck that I can wish him on his boxing journey. As you said, everyone, if you are not an Anderson Silva fan, what's wrong with you? I don't know, but anyway. So let's move on to the card next week, man. Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov. It's honestly a pretty good card. So there's a chance that the fights are going to be awful because this week the names on it was just, I was like, who is on this card, man? And it turned out to be pretty decent card, mostly finishes of the night. So pretty nice on that. It didn't end too late, but next week, man, we have so many fights. Just a few names. I'm going to start with the prelims real quick. Yancy Medeiros starting it off. Justin James against Charles Rosa. The Raging Panda, Julia Avila versus someone that I'm not even going to try to say her name. We got Ike Villanueva coming back against
That's Julia Stolyarenko. Yeah, that's Stolyarenko. Yeah.
Okay, well,
You hadn't seen her?
Just seeing the name, I'm not going to try to say that. So calm down there. We got Warley Alves going up against Ramazan Imaviv. Dude, there's some solid fights this upcoming weekend. We've got Shavkat Rakhmonov going up against Michael Prazernis. Ronnie Barcelos going up against Timur Valiev. I believe I'm getting these right. Don't kill me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so pretty solid prelim. Anyone stand out from you on the prelims there, man?
Man, it's almost gonna sound like a repeat from last week, but man, you know what it is. Dirty Bird. I wasn't able to see him this past weekend against Danny Roberts. You know, pretty upset. Didn't even see what happened. Didn't see if the fight got scrapped or anybody got injured.
Did I ask you about the prelims or did I ask you about the main card? Because what I'm looking at, that has the main card.
What I'm looking on, he's on the prelims, but
damn it, I'm on the fucking Google, so I have no clue. But everyone knows.
Well, I'm on Wikipedia, but
yeah, even though that the UFC is a fucking $10 billion company, they don't update their fucking website or their fucking Google shit. So who knows? These fights might not even be on next week. Who even knows, man?
And then, of course, Yancy Medeiros, you know, he always brings a really fun fight as well. Looks like he's actually dropping back down to lightweight this time to take on Hadzovic.
What, you don't know who Hadzovic is? That's how I
feel. No, but I know. I thought you knew Stolyarenko because she was on the Ultimate Fighter too. So
I would have to.
It was one of the older seasons,
but like this picture is just so small, so I have no idea.
Yeah, no, she was on the Ultimate Fighter, so I thought you might have. I thought you might have known her at one point. I think she fought your girl as well. Oh man. Oh gosh, I just forgot her name. The chick who you thought was gonna be the chick who you thought that was gonna be Cyborg.
I didn't watch the season. I don't have any fucking clue. Like you're telling me that Yana Kunitskaya was on the Ultimate Fighter?
No, not on the Ultimate Fighter, but her and Stolyarenko have fought before, and Stolyarenko was on the Ultimate Fighter, so that's why I thought you might have known her from fighting Kunitskaya and being on the Ultimate Fighter. But
I don't remember.
Yeah, Hadzovic. I'm like, I don't know, you know, but yeah, hopefully Tim Means stays on the card. Yancy Medeiros always brings it, so looks like on paper it should be a pretty solid prelims.
Did Justin James fight 170 recently? And he's fighting Charles Rose, who usually fights 145. So that's kind of odd.
I thought James fought at 55 before a couple of times. I think he fought.
It was like a super fucking crazy late notice fight, and it was like 170 against. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna beat this guy because whatever reason he had, and then he just got fucking mollywopped all 3 rounds. Is it this guy? Or am I thinking of someone else?
Man, Justin James, he's a really small guy, so I would hope that he didn't try to make it up to 170, but I mean, you never know.
Man,
Uh,
this guy's
no, it looks like his last loss was to Devontae Smith at 155. So yeah, it looks like his last loss was to Devontae Smith. So, or it was a catch weight. They fought at a catch weight bout of 160. So
yeah, something
I
like
could see
that.
how you got that.
Anyway,
Yeah,
he
him and
was
his opponent fought
so
at catch weight.
small. He was way smaller than by the guy that he was fighting. It was ridiculous. But yeah. So anyway, going up against Charles Rosa, man. I love watching Charles Rosa fight. Do you know what made me a Charles Rosa fan?
No, what?
Because he fought Thug Nasty and was pretty much in multiple twisters that fight and did not give up, man. If I can think back to that fight, I thought Thug Nasty won via sub, but I just recently watched it. Nope, by decision. But Charles Rosa is so tough, a great grappler himself. So probably going to be a rather interesting one as I'm just clicking so many things here, man. Warley Alves, beat Colby Covington going up against Ramzan Imaviv. All right, now I'm just gonna stop saying them because I'm just fucking their names up. So main card, Cyril Gahn, Alexander Volkov, Tanner Bozer, OSP at heavyweight. Going to be an interesting one. Kennedy Nzechukwu. I know how to say this. I just forgot how to say it. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
yeah.
Going up against Danilo Marquez. That's going to be an interesting one. Andre Touchy Feely, Daniel Pineda. Dude, that's a good fight. Tim Means, Nick Dalby, Renato Moicano, Jai Herbert, man. So I'm going to say the main card, from what I see right here, make sure everyone can see this, is going to be a fucking banger. But if this doesn't happen this way, I understand. But what do you got to say here on the main card, man? Any few that you kind of want to zoom in on aside from Tim Means, because we know you're a Dirty Bird fan. You already said
The
it.
the Dirty Bird. Man, I'm always down for a Dirty Bird scrap, man. He always has a really fun fight. But man, I think that Moicano and Jay Herbert fight, that's going to be pretty sneaky. Jay Herbert, he has really good striking. He uses really good range. He's lanky at 155. Hinata Moicano trying to make a name for himself at 155. He came off to the loss to Rafael Fiziev. But man, I think that Moicano, he's a very dangerous fighter and can bring some problems. So that should be a pretty good fight. And then OSP return to heavyweight, and I remember when he fought Ben Rothwell at heavyweight. I thought he actually won that fight against Ben Rothwell, and he lost a split decision. But I think going into this fight, man, OSP's probably going to be bigger than Tanner Bozer because Tanner Bozer is not a big heavyweight at all, and Tanner Bozer coming off of a pretty quick turnaround. So curious to see, he just fought 2-3 weeks ago and turned around and fighting OSP. Really curious to see how that's going to play out.
I can tell you exactly how this fight's going to go right now. If you want to bet on it, go ahead and bet on it. I got OSP via submission. It's just
Via the OSP choke.
it's if you watch the Tanner Bozer versus what's his name? We just talked
Latifi.
about it. Aliro Latifi. It happened like 2-3 weeks ago, as you said, and Aliro Latifi was able to wrestle Bozer for the majority of the time. And Latifi isn't a big guy. He's like stocky, but I mean, OSP definitely a much bigger individual overall. I believe the OSP, if he doesn't get the sub, it'll be 3 rounds of pretty boring mess. I'm probably going to be honest. I think OSP wins by sub or by unanimous decision, 3 rounds overall. Can you see it going up like the same way? Do you see Tanner Bozer winning here at all, man?
I think that for OSP, in some of his fights, he's displayed to be a little bit chinny. Tanner Bozer can crack when he's motivated,
Yeah,
but it almost seems like he's kind of turning around and kind of just
he's
taking the fight
becoming
just for the sake of taking the fight.
like a more like reserved fighter, if you will, and it's almost like there hasn't been enough time to. We just saw like Alir Latifi wrestle you for 3 rounds altogether. And OSP has a fantastic football background. His blast double is going to be fantastic. I believe he just gets it done here, man.
Yeah, I think the same thing. OSP, I think he's going to be, just a little bit too savvy for Tanner Boser. I think as long as he can keep the distance, he's going to be bigger than Tanner Boser going into the fight. So I think as long as he can keep the range, doesn't get into a brawl or anything like that, he should be able to ride out the unanimous decision.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I guess let's just talk about the main fight for just 1 second. Cyril Gane versus Volkov, man. It's going to be an interesting one. There is a very high chance that it could be very boring, though, because both guys tend to be rather technical guys. Both want to be counter strikers. So this has the makings to go all 5 rounds and look kind of like the Cyril Gane versus Rosenstruck fight. It could look that way. The only thing that I'm thinking that may give Gane some problems is the distance of Volkov, but Gane is just a massive dude. He is a huge dude and he can knock anyone out. So it will be rather interesting, but I'm taking the over on this one. I don't know what like the betting odds are, but if it's over 2.5, I'm taking over 2.5 all day. I don't see this one ending early because both guys are just reserved counter strikers. What do you think happens here, man?
I think it's a very interesting fight on paper. I think I don't want to call it a stay busy fight necessarily, but I think the top of the heavyweight division is kind of tied up for a little bit with Francis. We don't know if John Jones is going to make the move up, or they're saying Derek Lewis is going to be next, and then Dana said, well, Stipe is going to be next after that. So I think that with Derek Lewis, the Black Beast, I'd love to see him get his title shot, but I think the top of the division is going to be a little bit logjam for a little bit. So Gane and Volkov got to stay busy, keeping themselves entrenched within that top spot to kind of be maybe one fight away, maybe 2 fights, considering how long it might take with the championship to get resolved. But I think it's a very interesting fight. Very technical fighters, both of them, both technical strikers. Volkov has a lot more experience than Gane, so I'm really curious to see how he's going to be able to try to use that against Gane in this fight. Because Gane, although he has looked really good, he's still very green. I think how many fights does he have? What, he has 6, 7 fights under his belt right now in the UFC or in MMA. Four.
He's
He has
8-0
eight.
right now.
Okay, yeah, so he's 8-0. So he's displayed some good talent, but man,
Going
he's
up
super
against
green.
33-8 Volkov.
Yeah, Volkov is super experienced, dude. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out in the fight. And I think that it has a potential to be fireworks, but then it also has the potential to be a little bit of a snooze fest. There's a bit of a there's no way in the middle. I think that's going to meet. I think it's either going to be boring or I think it's going to be a spectacular finish. But as far as what's next in the heavyweight division, I think that's what this fight kind of decides, and I think it should be pretty good overall.
Fair enough. So that is next week's card. Before we get out of here, I just want to, I'm just kind of going through mine and Dorian's messages from throughout the week, and I just want to, like, announce a few things, a few upcoming fights, if you guys don't know. Already being talked about, we've got Vicente Luque versus Michael Chiesa, a fight I wouldn't mind, dude. It would be pretty nice. Marlon Moraes versus Marab Dvalishvili, also in the works. Curtis Blades versus Jairzinho Rosenstruck, also in the works. And then one that kind of hurt my heart, man, a whole lot. Max Holloway out of the Yair Rodriguez fight. We don't really know what happened there. And then I will save the last one. Anything that you want to talk about out of all that news, man?
I think with the Max thing, I think they said it was an undisclosed injury, But it sounds like they're actually going to try to reschedule the fight. So they said that they're not going to try to find a late replacement for Yair. They're going to keep the Max and Yair
A late
fight, maybe just
replacement, even
move
though it's over a month away already. Okay, I hear. Okay, I hear.
Yeah, no, and I understand, but in the same sense as well, if you're already kind of preparing for Max, I mean, Max is the different animal altogether, so I can understand. And plus,
Iga Shikaze.
a fight against Max is going to get him in the championship fight next if he's able to pull off a spectacular win. So I understand wanting to try to secure that fight against him, and Max is going to be the tougher fight, no matter who they try to match him up against. Max is going to be the tougher matchup. So I can absolutely understand him wanting to stay on there. And my guy Vicente Luque, man, really excited to see if he can try to secure himself amongst the top guys at welterweight to try to get a title shot. And Michael Chiesa, he's coming up the division. He's been looking really good as of late, displaying some really good ground control. It's amazing how he even made 155 because that dude is massive at 170. So it's crazy that he was even able to make 155 to begin with. But I think just early thoughts on that fight. It's kind of like an old school matchup, striker versus grappler, and excited to see how that one can turn out as well.
Definitely, it's going to be. Sorry, definitely, it's going to be an interesting time, man. Some great matchups just announced. One more before I get out of here. Paulo Costa's hair transplant, man. What is happening here? Did Costa pull out of the Cannonier fight to get a fucking hair transplant?
Well, it sounds like that he might have actually gotten it not too long after he fought Izzy last year, and they said that the recovery time for that is 6 to 12 months. So I believe within that time, he hasn't had enough time to get cured or for him to be 100% just yet. So thought it was pretty funny that his name kept getting thrown into matchups, and then all of a sudden, they say Costa's not available. I was literally just asking about him, saying where has he been, and then all of a sudden he comes out with a post on Instagram with him getting a hair transplant. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. You can kind of see on his head that it did look like a little bit of a hair transplant because he has a little bit of a bald spot on the back that all of a sudden disappeared. So I kind of had a little bit of an inkling of that, but for him to actually say that he's out of the fight due to the hair transplant, that's crazy.
It almost looks like he just got it. Like, why are the pictures just now surfacing if it happened 6, 8 months ago? If he just now got it, dude, what an idiot. Like, you haven't fought in a damn year, and then now you're gonna get a hair transplant that's gonna take you a whole nother year to heal too. It's like, what the hell's happening, man? Like, I don't really understand that. So this fucking guy. Anyway, hair transplant Costa is undefeated at this point.
Baldo Costa. Baldo
Yeah,
Costa is undefeated.
crazy, man, crazy. Anything else like before you like want to get out of here, man? Any other odds and ends?
Nah, I think we pretty much, besides the Anderson thing, I think we pretty much wrapped up, most of it. Looking forward to this weekend's card, kind of seeing how all the fights play out and Dirty Bird, baby. But
Dirty Bird.
MMA always has news, so excited to see what the week holds.
Fair enough. One final question before we get out of here, man. This has nothing to do with MMA. I've just been on like kind of a music kick recently. I've just been going back listening to like a whole bunch of like older stuff. As you know, I brought up the Yin Yang Twins recently. I put on Dr. Dre, the Chronic 2001, like the other day, and I was like, man, this is what I used to listen to when I'm like fucking 10, 11 years old. I used to sneak to listen to that album. And I remember at one time, my okay, my grandma, she's already like passed now, but me and my uncle were in the back of this like piece of shit Ford Escort coming back from West Virginia, listening to the Chronic 2001, and this song came on that was like just a bunch of like sex noises, and she ejects it and throws the CD out the window as we're driving down the road. So just some old memories there. But I want to ask you, man, what is an underrated artist like that you used to grow up like just listen to? Like, man, this dude is the best. No one likes this person as much as I do, and I don't understand why. Who is that artist, band, group, whoever for you from growing up, if you will, like late 90s, early 2000s, just around that time frame?
I mean, the guy for me always was, Biggie, especially when you kind of bring up Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and them. I was listening to Still Dre. I still listen to that song. I can rap that song from beginning to end. I can rap it from end to beginning, I think, and still be able to hit all the lyrics. But I love that song. But anything by Biggie, me and you are both fans of MK, Morning Combat, and the segment that they have with Dead Wrong. You know, Luke always sings the verse for Eminem, and it actually made me say, you know what, I got to go back and listen to that verse. And now I've been listening to the song because I forgot how hard the song was. I can understand going back and listening to some of the music now, how my parents were like, or my mom really more than anybody.
Yeah.
There's no way you can listen to music like this. And I'm like, man, what's the big idea? It's nothing. It's just words. But after going back and listening to some of Biggie's music, he was very vulgar with his lyrics, but just his overall rapping ability and just his story and everything. Definitely my favorite rapper growing up. A lot of people like Tupac, but me myself, I was always the Biggie guy. So if I had to think of really one guy that kind of stands out, it's probably definitely him.
I'm gonna throw something at you, and it might shock you, but then if you think back to us growing up, man, my favorite rapper was always Ludacris, man. I loved Ludacris. I remember like
Luda can
I
rap,
think
dude. He can rap his
I
ass
think
off.
I think Chicken and Beer was one of the first albums I had, dude, like way back in the day. It may have been the edited version from Walmart, but it's okay. I got Chicken and Beer, and then the what album came out like around our eighth grade year that had this song with
Shaking
Pharrell on
money,
there.
make it like
Yeah,
somebody,
yeah, yeah,
somebody.
yeah.
I know,
That
I know what you're
that
talking. I can't remember
that
the album, but I know.
dude,
Yeah.
I used to listen to that. I listened to that album so many fucking times, but yeah, there is my artist to go back. If you guys aren't first in old Ludacris music before Fast and Furious, man, definitely one of my favorite rappers of all time. Shout out Ludacris. Definitely inspired a lot of people in the Atlanta sound, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, and a big influence in the movies and stuff as well. So I think he's just been a big influence in music in general, just for him to be able to kind of gracefully transition his career from being the loudmouth rapper to now being like the sophisticated businessman and actor. So I think he's just a big influence in general in the rap game, the acting community, and all around. He's definitely one of the more underrated rappers for sure. Dude could rap his ass off.
For sure. Always a favorite of Ludacris over here. All right, man. That's it. Anything else before you want to get out of here, man?
Nah, I think we good, man.
All right, man. I'm gonna let you go spend some time with your family on this very special Father's Day. Remember, everyone out there, happy Father's Day. Thank you for watching. Remember, stay golden. We'll see you next time.